Good evening, everybody. It's episode 23 of the I Told You Show. And tonight we're going to discuss meetings in secret with our Palm Coast City Council. Stay tuned. Tonight in studio, we have my normal co-host, Candy, and our special guest, Chrissy. How are you this evening, Candy?
Great. How are you and how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
It's a great night.
You're outnumbered tonight.
Yeah, well, that's
Gonna
okay.
tag team him.
That's all right. We have a great topic tonight, I think. You know, Candy, if you remember, I had the lawsuit against the city for the City Amendment 1 bond issue, called by some affectionately as the Elfin bonds. And I sued the city because the city was being secretive and had bad wording in which they didn't tell people that if this amendment passed, they were voting to give up their right to vote on how the city spends their money.
Right.
And it was really bad. So as the lawsuit was going on, the city council had what they called a meeting in the shadows. Do you recall that?
Oh yeah, the Darth Vader meeting.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Heard about it.
So interestingly, that even though that meeting was done in secret after the lawsuit was over, and I didn't win the lawsuit, but didn't have to because it made the issue known well enough that it crashed.
People
on the
voted it
ballot.
out, voted
Yeah.
it down,
Yeah,
voted
voted it
no.
out. Fortunately. But the transcript from that meeting then became available, that secret meeting. And it's very interesting because it's very disturbing the way it went down. The city council decided to spend money instead of on infrastructure, instead of on the flooding issue, instead of on anything of great importance. They decided to spend money on an attorney to fight the lawsuit, which they had already, the majority of the city council had already agreed the wording was bad. But they weren't going to back down. So we went to war. In the secret meeting, the city council said, they hope the judge rules against them. They wanted to lose. So they spent all this money hoping to lose the lawsuit. And they wanted the judge rule against them because they didn't want to feel like they disenfranchised the voters. Even though they lied to the voters indirectly by not telling the voters what it was they were voting on, they thought it would disenfranchise voters if they took the amendment off. What do you guys think of
Rules
that?
only apply sometimes here.
Yeah, I know. It's
When
when it's convenient for them.
pertinent, yeah, the rules apply. I mean, that thing was worded so crappily that
That's a
nobody
new
could
word.
even understand it.
It's a
Sorry.
new word.
That's a new word. I've never.
Crappily, I like
It was crappily worded. Like, you couldn't understand that if you were a scholar. Like,
Yeah, well,
even when
that's
they
because
tried to read it aloud to us, they couldn't even read it.
The judge
Who put
judge
the wording
said
together originally? Who did the wording?
Ed Danko and Teresa Pontieri put the wording together for this one.
Did they have nobody look over that before they
I don't
publish
guess
it?
we
Or
proofread here either.
they don't proofread?
Yeah, well,
Wow.
it was the
That could be an issue.
what we weren't told at the time that it was all going together is that there were, I don't want to call them secret meetings, but there were private meetings that each of the city council people individually had with the developer's attorney. And it came to light, who was Mr. Cimento.
Mr. Michael Cimento. The name comes up frequently.
Yeah, it does. But it came to light that they wanted to be able to increase the city's spending, or in other words, remove the cap on the city's spending and remove the payback time, which is currently 36 months and $15 million. If it was to go beyond that, the city would have to vote on it. The people would have to vote on it. But this money was, or the desire to remove all this was to be able to raise approximately $93 million so they could build a sports complex that may or may not have made any money back, but they wanted the taxpayers to pay for this, but didn't want to tell the taxpayers what they were paying for, and that we were giving up our right to vote on it. And so in the secret meeting, the real secret meeting where the attorneys were present and city council was present, the city council was hoping they would lose because they were afraid they were going to disenfranchise the voters if they removed it. But they were lying to the voters to start with because they weren't telling them that they're giving up their right to vote on how the city spends money, which I think is a true disenfranchise. Blew my mind.
It blows my mind too, because they're so worried about getting sued by the developers if they don't give them their zoning or their density changes. But then you're legitimately saying, hey, look at the wording on this that you wrote. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody that reads it even understands it. And we don't want to not have a vote in the future on how our money is spent.
I honestly think that they put that and word it like that so people don't even ask questions and don't understand what they're
100%.
actually
No, they
100%.
what
thought,
they're actually doing. That's why they're doing it and getting away
100%.
with it.
they thought people were going to read it and go, oh yeah, times have changed. Things are a little bit more expensive. They're just wanting to be able to get more money, be able to borrow more.
Yes.
Yeah, so most people would have been dumb and voted yes for it. But if you wouldn't have brought it out, and if Celia Puglisi wouldn't have been bringing it up at the meetings,
She's very good at it.
There's so many people that come to the meetings, Jeffrey Sy brought it up.
Can you imagine how many other times this has happened to like other issues and no one's even noticed this?
Oh, you don't even.
I mean,
it's
this is
It's
crazy.
scary.
This
It's
is crazy.
scary.
It is
Well,
scary.
that was that one DRI that Teresa pulled up from 10 years ago.
What was that? 100? How many millions? Was it 120 million?
It
or
was
something?
100. It was either 92 or 102 or something like that. But Rayonier said that they were going to pay
for all the
for that
stuff.
connector and that road, that the new turnabout on US 1. They said that they were going to pay for that, but they didn't pay for that.
No.
Our state appropriation money that we were given paid for that.
Yes,
Would have been
the-
nice to use that state appropriation money for the infrastructure and let Rayonier pay for that roundabout to nowhere.
Since we have a serious problem in this area still with that.
Right. And where is
Yeah.
that money? Where did that discussion even go? I haven't heard
Well,
it
the-
brought up again since
The
then.
the money, the $80 million that we obtained through appropriations through Tallahassee, they took $1 million as a joke and applied it to the wastewater treatment facility that needs, I think, $50 million, if my memory is correct, needs $50 million to expand to be able to take care of what we have.
Wow.
They put $1 million towards that,
1 million.
which is an insult in my opinion. And then
We're a little short.
yeah,
Right.
and then
We're a little
people would
short.
pay for bonds if they knew it was going for like maybe something like that.
yeah, they would have. But then they took $79 million to build that loop road that goes from Matanzas Boulevard west over the railroad tracks, then heads south all the way down to Royal Palms, back over the railroad track, and connects into the Royal Palms Parkway. It is the only time in the history of our city that the city has paid for the infrastructure so that developers can come in and build their developments and make money off the tax money that the city has put in.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's bad news.
It's backwards here.
It
really is.
It is, and I hope that the new city council can take care of it. But
I hope so too. And a little tidbit for everybody. I work in St. Augustine, and I'm not going to say where because of people like Sue.
hi,
But-
Sue.
Yeah, hi Sue.
I don't know who Sue is, but shout out to Sue.
So when you move somewhere, when you're closing on your house, it takes a few days or whatever. Or if you're in the process of deciding if you're going to buy the house, you're going to the property during the day and then maybe in the evening or whatever. So I have found many people stay at the resort that I am employed by, and many of them end up at the bar that I.
Oh yeah,
And
you get
behind.
all the good dirt at the bar.
And they
Yeah.
actually find out that I'm from Palm Coast because, you're the bartender. So everybody talks to you. Where are you from?
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. We get talking. Oh my gosh, we just bought a house in Palm Coast. So, people ask me for like fencing company recommendations. I should get really some royalties from all the
I know,
people, 'cause
right?
I really do recommend
I've done
the
sales
same-
for a long time, and I refer people still
Yeah.
to this day.
I
So
recommend
yeah,
the same 5 roofing, flooring, different people for different things to these new people that are coming. They don't know anybody here.
right.
Right.
But they all knew when they were moving in that we had a water issue here.
Well, that's because it's all over the internet. I mean, how many times on
And that's
Facebook
thanks
do
to
you see
Chrissy.
people? Yeah, no,
I mean, not Chrissy. I'm sorry, Candy. I'm looking
I was
at
going to
Chrissy.
say, I
saying-
am going to talk about this on my podcast soon. Is about the infrastructure, the flooding here, the water bill. Like we're gonna hit some topics, but it's definitely an issue here.
Well,
and
a lot of
it's
people-
all
Candy
over
has
Facebook.
headed that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lightning experience, to say the least. I mean, I've learned things that I didn't want to know.
You would think
and
after
things
the
that I wanna
last
unknow.
storm that would have been a eye opener. Like the hurricane didn't even hit, and I couldn't see my front yard; it was underwater. And
Yeah.
I'm in a newly built house, and my house sits a lot higher than those other houses. That water came up to half of my driveway and scared me before the storm even hit. I'm like, we're going under.
A lot of
But-
people
but-
flooded.
Crazy.
A lot of neighborhoods, whole neighborhoods,
Yeah.
actually flooded.
Oh, don't you know that the roads and everything are supposed to flood?
Oh yeah,
Really?
That's
Yeah.
part of
That's.
the stormwater
I needed a
system
boat
now.
to get out. I called my
I never
dad, and
heard
I'm
that
like, "Can you give
before.
me a boat?"
Yeah.
I never heard that before.
Come
Just like
save
every
me.
year is a historical rain event that we've had since I've been here 10 years. Every year's been
Every year's 100
that's
year.
just the excuse to stay in the state of emergency. And a lot of people that live in Palm Coast still do not know that we are under a state mandate to update our wastewater plant because it is at or over capacity before you add in one more house.
It's overcapacity.
So if Mayor Mike, because he says call him Mayor Mike would like to do something, there's a good start right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, during the hurricane, we were asked not to flush our toilets, not to take
I
showers
know.
and everything because they can't treat the water.
Yeah.
No, and you got these people with 5, 6, 7 people in a house of a family. You can't use the water. Your electric's out. You're sitting there. You can't even get out of your house because you're flooded. It's like, what are you going to do?
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
So there
Yeah.
needs to be, I mean, there was a plan for the city. I mean, we all know there was a plan,
Mhm.
but that plan was with proper maintenance and maintaining of everything. And I will be willing to bet my shiny red Victory Red Corvette that there's
A beautiful brand new one, by the way.
It's a classic. It's almost an antique. I got one more year, and then it's next
new to
year.
you.
Next year it'll be 20. There's not one street that you can drive down from the beginning of the street to the end, and all the culverts and all the swells are correctly graded and cleaned out.
100%.
There's not
No.
one,
No.
and that people don't understand. The volume of water they're supposed to hold, they are not holding because they have brush and trees and greenage growing in there.
And they're not sloped.
And they're not sloped, and then they're putting the plugs, the corks of the new homes in the infill lots, and that's just making things all worse. So I did notice at the end of my street, though, they're building a new home, and it is not anywhere looks like any of the other ones that have been built. It actually, once the grass is in, you would never know that they added the home. If you see what I mean
So
by
it's
the
done
grading.
correctly, right?
So whoever built that home, whatever builder, grader, or whatever did that home, did the home correctly. But they also know that Vinny Mazzarella lives across the street and I live 2 houses down, so they probably figured we were watching that house go up because we know it's going to plug up our street. 'cause
So
it
were
already
you?
floods. We've both been watching that house.
Like a hawk?
Oh yeah, we both.
Yeah, see,
especially
that- so
Vinny,
they're
'cause he's
right.
across the street.
She's got the live video on Facebook or TikTok every
no,
day,
Vinny.
checking it up.
Vinny, because he's across the street and his office looks out. Oh yeah, he's been watching it, and I'm sure he's been over there speaking to them, and he's friends with the people across the street that live next to this. So I'm sure they've all been having conversations with the builder, because if we don't stop the grading when it's wrong before the grass and all that stuff goes on,
You're in trouble.
Where
Then there's
it's
no
done.
fixing it.
Then
Yep.
they wash their hands of it. They move on with their profit, and you're stuck with it, and you may not have it happen to you for 5 or 10 years.
But
Maybe
then,
it'll be next year, but then it happens.
yeah.
And this is all because of the shady backroom deals and conversations like the one we're talking about with your bond issue today.
Right. And so they tried to say with the bond issue in the wording that they would be using bond money or other financial instruments for emergencies.
Other financial instruments.
Yeah.
I'd like them to clarify that financial
Yeah.
instrument.
Yeah, what
I
are
I
the
think
other
that would be
financial
good.
instruments?
Yeah. Well, they didn't clarify it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, but
Raising
they
your
want to use them.
taxes.
I know,
That
right?
one, that
Maybe
one.
your water bill is going to go up now to $400 to $300 a
Yeah,
month. It's
well,
ridiculous.
It's going to go up.
I know.
It's going to go up. I tried to warn people about
Alan,
that. but
I
it's
have a
going
house
up.
with 3 people in it. It's 1,900 square foot. We're hardly ever home. It was $280 last month. I'm trying to justify that. I'm just sitting
Well-
here. It was more than my electric bill. And I know I'm not the only one. I saw several Facebook posts
You got a new
over
meter.
these last 2
You got
weeks
one of the new
alone.
meters. You got one of the new meters.
Some
that
people
read-
have $400
Right.
and $500 bills of families of 5 and 6, and I'm thinking, what is this gold? I went to St. John's. It's $28 a month for my water. What the heck? It's like we have gold here or something, and all
Well,
these extra taxes, and you know it's coming.
I'll tell you, here at the Flagler Voice Podcast Studio.
Mhm.
In the warehouse here, there are 2 bathrooms, 2 toilets. Not in the studio. In the warehouse, there are 2 toilets. The water bill here is $200 a month.
Jeez.
We're
We only have a couple podcasted for an hour here and
I've
there.
never used the bathroom here, and I actually don't even know where it's at. I've never even asked.
yeah. Well, nobody
So
uses.
I haven't contributed to
Nobody-
the water
I
consumption.
wonder if you have a slow leak like everybody else
Yeah.
is claimed
well,
to
you know,
have.
years ago, about 5 years ago, maybe, we suddenly had a bill for 30,000 gallons of water, and I said, "Ain't
You
no
had
way."
their magic slow leak, right? Instead
Yeah,
of their billing issue. That's
So
what they say when you call them. You might have a leak. We'll send somebody out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So-
And it's quite a
so
bit.
I went hunting for the leak, and because there's 30,000
Please
gallons.
tell me you didn't call the city to come out and check
No,
their
I
leak.
actually wanted
Okay,
to find
good.
the leak. So I went from the first of all, the 2 toilets weren't running, so I then dug a trench and followed the water line all the way back to the meter, and right at the meter, the pipe was broken. And interestingly, a few days prior, they had changed the meter.
Oh, isn't that ironic?
So they broke the pipe. And I called the city and I said, "Hey, come out, let's look at this." And the meters here for the commercial building, the meters are all above ground. The pipe
Yeah.
the pipe comes up, goes to the meter, and then goes back under. And they changed the meter in the middle there. Actually, it wasn't the meter they changed, it was the backflow valve that they changed. Anyway, it's a like a 1-inch copper pipe that goes down underground. It has an elbow at the top and a union. And I said, "So you see this?" I told him the thing was broken underneath. I showed him the PVC elbow that connects to the bottom was broken. And they said, "Well, how do we know you didn't do that?" Yeah. So I said, "Well, you see your copper pipe here? You changed this." We changed the backflow valve. Okay, and the copper pipe goes down to that PVC that's broken. Yes. Show me the strap mark or the wrench mark that you put on that pipe to stop it from turning when you loosened up that elbow. Well, there isn't one.
Oh, well, yeah.
So you loosened the elbow and you didn't stop the pipe from turning, which broke the elbow down underneath, which did. So they ended up taking it back because there was the
Yeah.
however.
But thank God you had known what to look for. There's all these older people and people in general, and like a girl like me, I'm not just going to go out there and look for those signs. And you imagine
have
how
no idea
often
even
this
where
is
to look.
happening in
I wasn't going to
Palm
let it go. I agree.
Yeah, I know.
I
Like
agree.
it's really sad,
And the issue then is, in my mind, the issue is that we have these $200 water bills. There's no leak here now. We have the $200 water bills. We've been warned that the bill's going to go up because they need the money for the infrastructure to fix the water system. They were trying to play off that if we do the westward expansion and we get more houses, the impact fees will do it. But impact fees don't go for
No. New
existing stuff. It only goes for new stuff. So that was a lie. And then, bonds for emergencies. Well, if we have a hurricane, we're not going to go out and try and sell bonds
Right.
to fix
I
whatever.
don't know
We're going
how
to go
people
to
are going to
FEMA.
afford the water bill alone. I mean, it's bad.
It's going to get worse. And so if they had said, "Look, we need to raise the cap from 15 million to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 million, whatever, and we need to increase the payback time from 3 years to 5 years, and if we go over that, then you guys have to, vote to approve it," I don't think there would have been any friction at all. But they wanted to remove the cap. They wanted
And
to remove the
remove your vote.
payback, remove your. They wanted control of the purse strings, and then look at us and say, "You got no say." Yeah, no
Yeah.
way.
Too bad, so sad. Too bad we didn't let that happen, right?
Yeah, no, it couldn't
You know
happen.
what's so weird too? After a hurricane, I noticed everybody. What are these alarms? Especially the ones from moved down from up north. Where's alarms? These are pep
Pep
tank
tank.
alarms that are going off, and just because our water is so horrible here and how we flood so easily. And I think we're like the only city in the area that you hear that during hurricanes, that you hear the alarms all night long besides generators.
Yeah.
After a hurricane, it's like,
sit out there with
if
your
those
coffee
alarms
and
aren't any indication we have a problem here in this city,
Yeah.
I don't know what else is.
They also happen a lot on my street, especially if we get a lot of rain.
Yeah.
Across the street, behind me, and then across the street from them. Like it's those 4 in a row. And mine will go off. Mine went off this last time.
And I noticed like the
Storm
ones with the little
before, nope.
canals, they're always going off. If you're on like a little stream that goes out to the main road for the water, they always are going off.
Yeah.
Even during a little storm. It's
Where-
crazy.
Where I live, we're not on a pep tank system. We actually are, it all rolls downhill and rolls downhill.
Lucky.
Yeah. But
We're
the-
not lucky.
but the pep tank system was the least expensive, maybe the highest tech at the time, because we're talking 60 some odd years ago when they started building the place. Maybe that was the high tech at the time,
Right.
but it isn't anymore.
No.
And to change it would cost. There's no way we.
It's just
there's
not gonna
no
ever
way. It's not going to happen.
So let's
No.
just keep building on top of it and just see what happens, you know?
I mean,
Yeah.
why not?
I mean, yeah.
They just need that. They need
We'll
that
keep
money.
using verbiage
Yeah.
that people don't
That's the
understand and we'll
problem.
just keep doing stuff.
And that's one thing
yeah.
I wanted to say today on this subject. I realize that there's developers and there's developer attorneys, land use attorneys, and city council people and stuff like that. But when you give your yes and your no votes to some of these things that they're doing, they're not thinking about 10, 20 years down the future.
No.
Just like Caleb Hathaway that was just on here, who's 18 and involved with the Bulow Creek issue. He was on my show earlier. He's thinking about that and he's 18. So if Mr. Chimento and Mr. Belchi and all the rest of them, Mr. Douglas, could, for us just a second, think about preserving our county. It's just one county out of all the counties that you develop in. If you guys could just think about our county and the beautiful birds and the creeks and the beaches and all the trees and all the bike trails we have and all the walking trails we have more opportunities for more of those places. Why can't they develop something like that that doesn't have houses? And we could do a fee to use the park. I mean, there's other things that they can develop here and still be involved here and stop building the homes. And that's what I would like to ask them to do is to, I know your profits mean everything to you, but can we just think about other people's lives and the whole of our county instead of that first?
And well, they're also, some of them are also spreading the word that, oh, you wanted a Costco or we got BJ's, but all these bigger stores, and to do that you need the rooftops and that brings the jobs. Well, look, if you're a cashier at
BJ's?
Walmart, BJ's, whatever,
You still aren't making enough.
you're not
today.
making enough money. No.
No.
And so we can call it jobs.
You won't even be able to pay your water bill
Right.
at Palm Coast.
Right.
Like you
I
have
mean,
to
let's
work
be
all week to pay
serious.
your water bill.
Exactly.
We
So-
need NASA.
So well, that was my thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we need that kind of stuff here.
yeah, we do.
Amazon would be
But,
great.
Big
but,
stuff.
But that's where, well, we had Amazon and we turned it away. But
Love it.
that's where I'm going with this, is that these retail stores require rooftops for them to justify coming here so they can figure out their sales. Manufacturing does not require rooftops. It requires a workforce, and our current workforce is leaving the area because there's no
Yeah.
good paying work here. So
Yep. You're
Didn't
going to
you just-
Jacksonville or
Elizabeth Hathaway just told us a bunch of seniors just graduated. They're all 18 and they can't find any work around here. It's to
no,
make
you have
any
to go to
decent
Orlando or
money.
Jacksonville.
I
Right.
drive to
Yep.
St.
Right.
Augustine.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
well,
I mean, you have to drive to St. Augustine to get paid and get benefits.
and they want to call us a bedroom community. They want to bill us that way, so that what they're saying is you live here and you work somewhere else. Well,
We're not like St. Augustine.
we're not. No, we're
No.
not. And it's a mistake. And manufacturing doesn't require rooftops. It requires a workforce, requires transportation, and it requires a nice area for the CEOs to live. We have it
We have
all.
all those
All of
things.
We
it.
that
have it
do.
all. And we
Yeah.
have the land, because it requires land too.
We
We
do.
have it.
So
But-
maybe one of those people can come and talk to Belchi, Douglas, Chimento, and say, hey, let's not build houses on this piece of property. Let's work together and do this and make it into a historical park where people can pay to use it, have picnics, have weddings, have like venues there where they can actually bill people to use it. They could do beautiful weddings there, beautiful ceremonies there, and they could make money on it.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of public partnership that we want, public, commercial, whatever however you,
Public-private partnership.
that's the kind of stuff
PPP.
that we need here. We don't need any more homes. Let's make the community great for the people that we already have here.
Yeah.
because
yeah.
we're all leaving, and
Yeah.
people are not going to stay. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not leaving, but I'm saying
For a
people
job, you do.
I do leave for a job, but people won't stay here and live here and be invested in the community now and in the future if they keep going the way
Our
they're going.
roads can't even take the amount of people
No.
that are in here now. It
20
takes,
minutes.
It
to
takes
get
me
from the high
30
school
minutes.
to US1.
Yeah, and it used to take me 10 minutes. It takes me 30 minutes now.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
I don't think you understand. Former Mayor Alphen said that all the traffic lights are in sync and that keeps our traffic under
Does he
control.
drive down Palm Coast Parkway
I
and,
don't think
and
he
bring his
drives
kid to
anything. I
school?
don't think
Yeah,
he
I don't think
does.
so. He
No.
doesn't do what we do every
He
day.
probably doesn't even live here now anymore. He's probably already left town. But Ray Stevens, that's his forte, is traffic. So I think that he'll be able to get with the traffic department and get with them on the traffic lights.
I'll be happy to take a video and post it so everybody can see what I have to deal with every day.
And
Yeah,
give them to me, and
I'll
I'll
do
get 'em
that,
right
yeah.
over to him because he
Yeah.
would love that. That's his forte.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
And he's
flow
a
of
good guy.
traffic.
He's been on the show a
Yeah,
few
he is
times.
a good
Today,
guy.
the Longhorn opened a few days ago, maybe even yesterday. Go ahead and go down 100. Between BJ's, between Longhorn, between the Miller's Ale House and Panera and that intersection and then the high school skits, it was all the way back past 95. There's not even an accident. It's just the flow of traffic is not flowing because that light stops, that light is going, and it's ridiculous.
And you know, one of the things that I had mentioned, which people didn't want to listen to, is that instead of having a concentrated area of all the shops, which brings all the traffic from all around town to a centralized location, which creates
on a two-lane
havoc.
highway.
On a
On a
two-lane
two-lane
This
highway.
makes
and
no sense.
instead you spread it out. You put one store over there, one store over there, one store someplace
Can't they go on
else.
the other side of
And-
95?
and-
Exactly.
Yeah, and you spider web it out. So traffic is now going out in a pattern
Right.
rather than
All coming
congealing.
to the center of the city.
I would rather have seen BJ's on the other side of 95 with some of that, like past the Burger King
They
area.
probably
Just
wouldn't
Yeah.
they probably wouldn't let it go over there because they probably got plans for high rises over there.
They
I
do.
see a saying-
Next,
Wow.
the
I think I'm a mind reader.
I saw
They-
signs for banks. Like we need more of those, but
Well,
okay.
It's going to be bank storage and high rise condos. Is what it's going
If
to be.
I
But-
see another storage unit or a Dollar General, are you kidding me? Like seriously?
but I think it's west of BJ's. I believe that's the property west of BJ's, which oddly enough belonged to the property appraiser, was sold for condos.
Like we need more of those. Did you see what's going up in Town Center right now? Like more.
No, yeah.
It's-
Well, town centers,
It's gone.
it's
It's
yeah,
not even gonna be
yeah,
what it
that
used to
dream's
be.
They
over.
keep adding all the. I'm still, the math isn't mathing for me here. I mean, how can they say that our water treatment plant is at capacity, yet they keep adding more houses, yet we're under a mandate? That doesn't make sense to me. So are they going to build these houses and just not going to be able to connect them? to
That's
this?
what's coming.
And then when we have
I-
a storm, we're not gonna be able to use our toilets. We're gonna have backups into our houses. It's
Well,
gonna be a mess.
That's where we are. And
Yep.
if you remember when the elections were going and mayoral candidate Cornelia Manfrey spoke, she said that I believe it was 3 large companies that she had enticed to come here, didn't come here because they found out that they may not be able to have water connected to their facility
Yep.
because or sewer connected to
Well,
their facility.
I'm glad the word's out then. Maybe
Yeah.
they'll,
Yeah, but
stop.
it doesn't do anything. They're
No.
still building. They're still doing what they
They're
want
still
to
going to
do.
build them. They're
Yeah.
just not going to be able to connect them.
Our bills
Yeah.
are still going up. The pep take alarms are still going off, and nothing's changed. But we got new trees growing down the high, Belterre and Palm Coast Parkway, and
Well,
those are always nice.
what I'm going to say is we have a
They got
whole new-
Christmas lights on them.
Aren't they nice?
I'm like, can you guys clean our swells? Don't worry about putting on Christmas lights down that
It's just
row of trees.
unbelievable.
we have a new city council, almost an entire new city council. Let's hope that they stick to what they ran on, and they're not going to be able to fix the problems during their term.
Well, I don't know what Ty Miller ran on
But-
besides being a Republican. Just
Well, yeah,
get
I
that
don't
out.
know.
I'm hoping January brings a whole bunch of financial
Sorry.
freedom to everybody.
Yeah,
I do
Yeah,
have,
I've been waiting.
faith that they're going to go in a different direction.
right. And it's not going to be solved this time, and it's not going to be an easy solve. But let's hope they go in the direction and they set us on the path
Yeah,
for it to be fixed.
Yeah.
I want
with
to.
verbiage we understand,
Yeah, yeah.
and no
the
backdoor
line.
meetings.
That would be nice.
But I want to believe that that's that's the direction we're going to go.
I want to believe
So,
that too. And I felt it in the room at the city council meeting. They
Yeah,
everybody
you
was
said
sworn in.
that, and I really hope that's the way
Yeah.
it actually goes. Well, time's about up. I hope that those of you that voted in favor of the city charter amendment kick yourself in the rear, because you need to become informed. And this show, the I Told You show, and several of the other shows that we have will inform you if you listen to the Flagler Voice podcast studio. Go to Flagler Voice on YouTube, Flagler Voice on Facebook. Go through I think we have about 120 videos up now. Look at them, learn, and be prepared and educated for our next election. Thank you, everybody, for watching us tonight, and have a great weekend. Bye.